Good morning, happy Easter, and welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If you are new to SMUUCh and want to know more about our church, please fill out the Get in Touch form using the link in our video description. Or if you are interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism, please join our Just the Basics class that will be held next week. For all of you joining us live this morning, feel free to start posting your joys and sorrows now if you would like the names to be read during the candle lighting. And now, a few announcements from our minister.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Rose, the minister here at SMUUCh. It is a joy to see you and an honor to be broadcast into your homes. As you know, we are partway through our annual fellowship drive, this year named after our most cheery, resilient, and iconic flower friend, the dandelion. We have raised $91,000 from 36 pledging households, which is about a fifth of our annual budget. I know that many of you put off making your pledge until the last minute, but now, every time you see a dandelion, I want you to remember that it is time to make your pledge. And I'd like to make a special ask for all of you who have joined us online during the pandemic. We don't know who you are. We are literally in the dark about who joins us on Sunday, but we want to know you. We want you to belong to this church, and we want this church to belong to you. For when you make an act of generosity, you become tied, invested, and bought in. I invite all of you newcomers to either fill out the Get in Touch form below to help us reach you better and to participate in funding our annual operational budget so that we can keep things like online worship going strong for you. Now, lastly, as we come together to celebrate Easter, as we have been speaking about rejuvenating ourselves, our church, and our earth, I am happy to announce that our reopening conversations have begun. We know that the pandemic is not over and that 30% of the nation is vaccinated, and we are taking special, careful, deliberate steps towards reopening the church. Your job is to help us know what you would be comfortable with, and if you are willing to join the effort in preparing our beautiful space to be slowly reopened. Our first order of business is going to be fun. Please join your fellow church friends for a day of social distanced and masked fellowship to spiff up the exterior of our building. There will be lots of tasks for all ages: raking leaves from the perimeter and fences, picking up trash and sticks, painting of the wrought iron furniture, and some interior work. Please bring your work gloves, rakes, yard waste bags, etc. For more information and the date, please email Vicki Trott or use the Get in Touch form below, or you can look in your weekly email. Oh, and there will be bagels and coffee. Lastly, please keep your eyes open for surveys and listening sessions about the reopening process, because together we are better. Together we are a courageous church, a courageous nation, a courageous globe. And now please enjoy a video about our Dandelion campaign. The past year has been challenging for all of us. But as a church community, we have grown in ways we never could have imagined. We have faced this last year with courage, as we always do. And now, the coming church year promises to bring renewed strength for our church, especially as we look forward to the joy of being together again. In the bonds of our community, we are all like the dandelions, rejuvenating the soil from which blooms healing, connection, friendship, fellowship, joy, and spiritual depth. The Stewardship Committee invites you to be part of the rejuvenation of our church in the coming year through our Dandelion Stewardship Drive. Thanks to your contributions, we'll be able to promote our programs such as a rich children's ministry and small groups for adults, the pantry and the shelter which are housed in our building, our community garden and prairie, continuing virtual services on Sunday morning, and so much more. We are so grateful to be on this journey with you. Grateful for your help as we continue to support each other, grow together, and plant the seeds of a new world. May the sweet song created by each gentle breeze provide you with comfort and memories. Come, let us worship. Please join us for our opening hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the truth. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
It's chalice lighting time! All you need is a candle, a spark, and some sort of special chalice. And some parental supervision.
Please join me as we light our chalice. Let us affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Hi, kids. As you know, we believe in the interdependent web of all life, which means that here at church, we care for the earth. You know that when you come here, there's the beautiful blooming shrubs, there's the decorative trees, there's the old growth oaks, and then there's open areas. But before there was ever a church here, long ago, before there was even Kansas City, this whole area was covered in a prairie. Now, when we think about grass and when we think about watching the grass grow, it can seem kind of boring, but I assure you, prairie is anything but boring. It is every color, from deep purple to pink to orange. It goes way high up, way higher than your head, higher than my head, higher than your grandpa's head. And the roots, they go down, down, down into the earth, deeper, deeper than your basement, deeper than a well. So every time you see a little tuft of grass, remember that it goes down 4 times as deep as how far it grows up from the ground. And also in the prairie, there are 300 different types of flowers. Purples and blues and yellows. It's a rainbow of colors. And do you know what flowers bring? Well, we can't interact here on the internet, so I'm going to give you a second to say aloud in your own home, what do flowers bring? You might have said bees, You might have said hummingbirds, but what I want to tell you about today is the butterflies. In fact, I have here this butterfly coloring book that I'm keeping here at church, so when you come to Wednesday night RE, you can help me color in all of the butterflies. There are so many different types of butterflies who feed on the flowers, and that is so beautiful. But there's one type of butterfly that I want to tell you about today, and that is the monarch butterfly. The special thing about monarchs is that they migrate, which means that every winter they fly all the way to Mexico, to Michoacan, which is 3,000 miles away, and they spend their winters enjoying the warm sun of the Mexican mountains. I wanted to talk to you about all this, the monarchs and the grass, because sometimes when we see something in our lives that seems very ordinary, just like an ordinary regular monarch butterfly, it actually has so much more magic than we think. I want to show you this video of the monarch butterflies here at church at our very own Monarch Way station. Look now, or else you're going to miss it. I wonder, are there things in your life that might seem very ordinary, like the grass just growing? But actually, if you look at them, there's so much more depth, so much more life than what first meets the eye. This week, I hope that you will look at some of those ordinary, regular things in your life a little closer, seeing if there is something magical about them. Thanks for listening. This is the time where we expand the caring love of our community, where we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are struggling and those who feel the sweet relief of their burdens easing. Today on Easter, we think of everyone who grieves, of everyone who has lost someone recently, of everyone for whom death does feel like the final say. We think of those who have struggled with their mental health this winter, who are in dire need of life-giving community, embodiment, and activity. As we come together to celebrate the earth and its natural cycles of regeneration, we hope for a beautiful blooming of hope and life to lighten our step and bring joy and happiness into our lives. And as always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. And now please comment in the comment section of the live chat your joy or sorrow. Remember, this moment of sharing happens online and remains public for all viewers joining us today. To bring us further together in the beloved community, we will read aloud some of the posted joys and sorrows while I light the candles.
A candle for the life of Susan Ann Hund, the sister of Jeannie Hund. A candle of care for Laura Capella. A candle from Pat Daneman, who is moving. She lights a candle to say goodbye and celebrate a new opportunity. Patrice has a candle of joy for the Easter egg hunt, which has 20 families signed up to participate. Jen has a candle of joy that she will visit her sister and her family in May. She can't wait to hug and be there to support them. Jay has a joy for Hope's Harvest Pantry Garden, with most of the organically grown produce going to our food pantry. We light the remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows posted in the chat, and for those that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts.
Please join me for a moment of meditation. Put your feet flat on the floor, close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose and out through your mouth. I invite you to take 5 deep breaths, bringing yourself into your body, 5 deep belly breaths. Bringing yourself back to this moment. As you breathe out, letting all your worries or fears, anxieties drain out into the earth beneath you. And then we'll just take a moment of silence, and as you sit silently, I invite you to sense the life around you. Do you sense it in your own body? Do you sense it in the wind, in the sunlight, in a sound, in a scent? Drawing your hands over your own heart, say a well wish or a prayer for yourself, giving yourself the respect, kindness, and forgiveness that you need. And then draw to mind someone who you know, maybe someone who's in the room with you, maybe someone who you've seen or never seen who is struggling. Maybe during this week of Trans Day of Remembrance, you draw to mind someone you know who is queer or trans. Knowing what's going on in Minneapolis, drawing to mind someone who has experienced either a tearing or a knitting up in regards to our criminal justice system. Maybe it's someone you just saw on the street. Send them a well wish, a thought, or a prayer. Send them life. Let the corners of your lips turn up. You may open your eyes. Blessed be and amen. I invite you to sit peacefully as we sing to you one of my favorite hymns, number 396.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Hear these words from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And now, here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.
There is a stand of forest in the mountains of Michoacan where millions of monarchs fly each year, coating the trees, covering the branches, and blanketing the forest floor. Each monarch, which weighs the same as a paperclip, joins its congregation after flying 3,000 miles to enjoy the warm, moist, winter climate of the coniferous mountain forest. 50 million monarchs overwinter in Michoacan, taking over just a few precious acres of forest, crawling into the hands of the researchers from the University of Mexico City, whose life's work revolves around preserving this monarch sanctuary. People, ordinary people, doing the exceptional and intuitive work of environmental preservation. But to the monarch, this must just seem very regular. After all, everyone's doing it, all 50 million of them. It must seem very nearly ordinary to take this seasonal journey, fighting against the storms, seeking water, finding prairie patches to use as way stations, entire generations of butterflies being born and dying while on the road. See, when you see a butterfly in your front yard, when you catch a flutterby glimpse of those delicate red and orange wings, it is easy to forget what this small being has done. It is easy to enjoy their presence in this moment without truly appreciating the magic that is their very ordinary life. And it's easy to not know about the scientists whose life's work is monarch advocacy. I tell you this because just like the monarchs, our lives and journeys can seem very regular to us. We can see ourselves and each other in the moment and appreciate what is on the surface. But we often miss the incredible depth, beauty, resilience, and magic that is each of our journeys. But I also tell you this because today is Easter. And on Easter, we are invited to celebrate the improbable and, yes, miraculous presence of life, which bursts, blooms, and brandishes about us, despite it all. For it is said that Easter is not about whether we believe in the resurrection, but about whether or not we can perceive it in our own lives. When we talk about the resurrection, we use generally don't tell the literal tale of Jesus' rising from the tomb, but as the buds break through this and the sun returns, we are invited to pay homage to the ordinary magic in our very lives. To not only respect ourselves for the ways that we have lived through tiny deaths and come back to life, but to fall on our knees in front of the miracle that is our resiliency. To acknowledge that life persists past death in a myriad of ways. To really lift up that there do come moments of great unexpected life, great resurrections of memories and passions which come blooming, blossoming back into our daily existence. For we have been taught wrongly, I think, that resurrection is grandiose, an obvious and singular and instantaneous event, the moment when divine presence actually took on human flesh and then died and then came back to life. But lest we forget the divine light which shines in each of us, we take this time of year to retell this story in a way that recognizes the ways that these cycles in life and death occur in our daily lives. And lest we forget the divine light which shines in each of us, we take this time to remember that human hands have the incredible power to do good in this world, and that it is perhaps through our hands that we participate in resurrection and the sacred web of life. For I think that our downfall spiritually, especially during quarantine, is the feeling that our ordinary lives are boring and tiresome, that our hands are useless, and we become shut down to that preciousness of our own lives, the very power we hold within us. We become deadened to the idea that there is so much more than the first humble thing that meets the eye. Numb to the fact that even within the cold, hard ground, there is a seed. That even within the darkest night, there is still that still, small voice. That even at the grave site, new memories flood back. That even in the tiny paper wings of a delicate insect such as the monarch, there lives a great resiliency. So let's go to the text and see what we can learn about the nature of the resurrection. Let us briefly dispel the idea that the whole story in the Bible is that the tomb was opened and no one was there, and then a golden figure ascended into the sky. That is not the full story. The passage that I want to draw out today is the story which took place in Luke, chapter 24. Jesus has been killed, and his friends are hustling down a dusty road, on the road to Emmaus. This is one of the first times that Jesus reappears or is resurrected after his death, and he is notably not rising up into the sky. He's not hovering with a glowing golden aura. No, he's simply walking next to them on a dirt path, keeping pace, asking questions, and chatting with them. Only get this, he's disguised. Part of the specialness of this myth and part of the key elements of the story is that he keeps his magic hidden from them, appearing to be completely ordinary. He hides himself so well that he walks for miles alongside of them, accepts their invitation to stay the night with them, and even sits down at a table with them to eat and drink and break bread. This is important. This story here tells us about the nature of the resurrections that we ought to be seeking in our lives, because it reminds us that it is the very ordinary moments of our lives, the moments of sunlight that we experience on our walks, the meals we share with people, the information we receive from the plants we eat, the people we happen to sit next to at church. These are moments that are disguised. It is in our choice to change our careers, in the migrations we take, in the memories of lost loved ones. It's what we live through. These are the moments where we are invited to recognize the ways tiny chances at life are handed to us over and over and over. The miraculous disguised as the ordinary, proving to you once again that there is sacred life and depth surrounding you in each moment. Because even this moment is not ordinary, is it? Like the prairie grass with its 30-foot deep root system, what you see on the surface is such a shallow glimpse at what magic lies within. Indeed, in my searching for a story of great quotidian wonder, in my quest to find a story of daily resurrection, I looked no further than our own backyard. For you see, out back behind this church, there has been a piece of land which always seemed unholy to me. A muddy area, one might call it, which suffers the occasional trauma of being dug up due to the fact that there are several pipelines which run beneath our property in an easement that could require servicing. These pipelines are part of our current human system, but one would be reaching to say that they inspire the interdependent web of all life. And indeed, one might even have felt a bit of a pit in your own stomach when you went out back and saw the lawnmower stuck in it, our human attempts at ethical land management laughed at by the pipeline gods. But this is part of a longer story, that in the last 150 years, this glorious Kansas topsoil has been depleted, and we find ourselves now surrounded by a great unease regarding the environment of the entire globe. We share a huge sense of impending doom and anxiety, which surely speaks to the image of the crucifixion, the part of the story where everyone watches the most beautiful and sacred thing die. Indeed, when we hear the story of the monarchs, it is tinted always with the fear that they will not be able to survive, that our interdependent web of all life is too sparse and torn, strands of it fraying in the wind. Yes, this story of the death of the divine speaks to the heart of what and who will not survive the empire. And it is possible that we are facing such a great and shared grief that we are as trembling and as bewildered as the women who washed Jesus' body, realizing the gravity of this moment. But let us go back to our story, where Jesus has been invited into the home, and he's sitting down to eat with his comrades, disguised as an ordinary person. For it is here, when the actual bread is in his actual hands, that he reveals himself to have more magic. It is when his very hands touch his sacred elements, the bread and the wine, that what has been rent was mended, that the miracle of life was revealed. Now, we are Unitarian Universalists, so it's not enough for me to tell you that there is a grand plan that will resurrect the earth from this trauma. But there is an intensely good news that fits with our UU theology in the story of Luke. For we believe that Jesus' hands were human. And so in the same way that in this myth, Jesus revealed himself to his friends when the bread touched his fingertips, in the same way, life's resiliency is celebrated when any of our hands touch the elements of our ministry. It is through our actual doing, it is through our ordinary ministry that the resurrection can occur. Let me give you an example. This fallow land of ours has had something very ordinary happen to it. As you now know, it's very regular for Kansas to be covered in beautiful tall grass prairie. It is the most normal, everyday thing for this soil. And indeed, in the most regular yet inspired of decisions, a couple of guys here at church planted a prairie over our pipeline, touching seed to hand, revealing that deepest human calling, which is to become an agent of life, to restore what has been rent, to take what has been made dead and make it alive, to aid in the knitting back up of the interdependent web of all life. And now, once more, in the most ordinary of ways, sunflowers tower over our heads in our prairie. The sky teems with dragonflies and bees. Our garden is pollinated. And last fall, there was a congregation of monarchs coating the trees, slowly flapping their brilliant, glimmering wings, dusted with pollen, the most delicate, ordinary evidence of sacred work at hand, done by human hands. This ordinary Kansas prairie has tied us to those butterflies. It has tied us to the researchers in Mexico, our most basic placing of seed to soil, telling them that we too, a country away, will aid the global network in resurrecting the earth from this catastrophe. That we see right through that disguise, that we know that this grass and these bugs are sacred, that where others see just an individual butterfly, we see resilience and community and an opportunity to take part in what is most sacred, the most sacred work of all, the work of the interconnected web of all life. You are as resilient as a monarch butterfly. You have lived an ordinary life full of magic and heroism, perhaps unbeknownst to you. You whose spiritual self is as delicate and precious as the pollen-dusted, glimmering wings of a monarch, you have made it through chapter after chapter of your life. Migrations, storms, deaths, illnesses, injustices. There is so much more than meets the eye, so much depth and resiliency in each of us that we so often fail to honor, that we so often forget to see. You are something truly extraordinary. Even if you can't see how deep you are, how much you've lived through, even if you can't feel that power coursing through your hands, remember that for the monarch butterflies, they're not phenomenal either. They're like, oh yeah, I used to be a caterpillar. They're like, sure, all my cells broke down, but I regrew into a beautiful butterfly, and I weigh as much as a paperclip, but I can fly across mountains and valleys. Like the butterfly, your life too has been one of great trials, great triumphs, great mountains and great valleys, powerful deeds, but most importantly, you are proof of life's wish to live. I tell you this because even though your life may seem regular, each and every moment we have an opportunity to lift up the incredible depth, the beauty, the resiliency, and the magic that is in each and every one of our everydays. For it is said that it is not about whether you believe in the resurrection. It's about whether or not we can recognize it in our own lives. Blessed be, and amen.
Hi, we're Dave and Jamie Heller. We joined the community at SMUUCh about 10 years ago when our girls were in early elementary school, and we were looking for ways to show them the importance of being involved in your community and volunteering and trying to make a difference. And we knew that churches often serve as a center point for those kind of activities, and that's one of our initial things that attracted us to SMUUCh.
So we've been really happy with the directions that SMUUCh has taken in those different organizations, so such as Harvesters, doing the Pack-a-Snack, and Project 1020, and now the food pantry. Those are things that are really aligned with our morals and what we think is a way to promote positive good in the world. And so we're proud to support that through our labor and also through our finances, and we're glad that SMUUCh helps facilitate that.
The work of the church depends on us. In the context of global and national strife, SMUUCh can create and foster space for connection and healing. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
Takes a little work to make a little change. We all come together. When we all come together. When we all come together. When we all come together.
love even when I feel debilitated. I might be down, but I refuse to submit to hatred. We might disagree, but the human bond we share is sacred. Let's sail off into the distance of imagination. Send in virtual hugs to battle the patience. It'll be over when I don't know, but here's a show of love that blows and kin. I know it sucks to feel trapped in here of hope again. It puts the lotion on the skin against the hose again. But push your thoughts aside and feel your heart opening. Embrace love and let it rope you in. Look, I got your back like a chiropractor lumbar roll. Though right now it feels so far gone, we press on when we
come together.
Yeah.
We all come together.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in the closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad.
This week, look for the little signs of life. Look for the roots beneath the surface. Go in peace.
Spirit.